Moses went to Egypt as God had commanded him. On the way, Moses met his brother Aaron. Aaron told him that God had spoken to him, instructing him to meet Moses in the desert. Moses shared with Aaron everything God had commanded him to say and all the miraculous signs he was to perform. When they finally arrived in Egypt, Moses and Aaron gathered all the Israelites. Aaron repeated everything God had said to Moses and performed the miraculous signs for the people. The Israelites believed that God was looking after them and had seen their suffering, so they bowed down and worshiped God. After this, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go so that they may worship me in the desert for 3 days." But Pharaoh replied, "Who is this God that I should obey him and let the Hebrews go? I will not let them go." Moses and Aaron insisted, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. We need to take a 3-day journey into the desert to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, or he may strike Egypt with plagues." Pharaoh was angry and said, "Why are you taking the people away from their work? Get back to your labor." He then made the Israelites work even harder so they wouldn't listen to Moses and Aaron. Seeing this, Moses prayed, "O Lord, why do you treat your people so harshly? Why did you send me if only to make things worse?" God replied, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go." God assured Moses that Pharaoh's refusal would be the beginning of his demonstration of power. Moses was worried about his speaking abilities, but God reminded him that Aaron would speak for him. God also warned Moses that when Pharaoh said no, he would act, and all of Egypt would know that he is the Lord. Moses and Aaron went back to Pharaoh. God instructed Moses, "When Pharaoh asks for a miracle, tell Aaron to throw down his staff before Pharaoh, and it will become a snake." Aaron's staff became a snake, but Pharaoh's magicians did the same with their staffs. However, Aaron's snake swallowed theirs. Despite this, Pharaoh hardened his heart and refused to let the people go. God told Moses it was time to act since Pharaoh refused to listen. God instructed Moses and Aaron to meet Pharaoh by the Nile River. Aaron struck the river with his staff, and the water turned to blood. All the rivers, streams, ponds, and reservoirs in Egypt turned to blood. The fish died, and the river smelled awful. But Pharaoh still refused to let the people go and called his magicians to replicate the miracle. Even so, God only removed the plague when Moses prayed. A few days later, Moses and Aaron asked Pharaoh again to let the people go, warning of more plagues. But Pharaoh's pride kept him from listening, so God sent 9 more plagues to demonstrate his power. Frogs came up from the Nile and covered the land. The dust turned into gnats that attacked the Egyptians. Swarms of flies invaded Egyptian homes. All Egyptian livestock died. Painful boils afflicted the Egyptians. A severe hailstorm destroyed crops and livestock. Locusts devoured anything left after the hail. And finally, the 9th one, darkness covered Egypt for 3 days. Despite these 9 plagues, Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go until the final plague. God warned Moses about the 10th and final plague, which would make Pharaoh let the people go. Moses told Pharaoh, "If you do not let the people go, the firstborn of every family in Egypt will die, from the richest to the poorest, and the firstborn of all the animals too. But the Israelites will be safe." Pharaoh did not believe in God's power and refused to let the people go. Moses warned him, "You could avoid all this by letting the Israelites go." Then Moses left Pharaoh. The Israelites feared the final plague, but Moses reassured them that God would protect them if they followed his instructions. They had to take a lamb, paint their doorposts with its blood, and eat the lamb. This way, when the angel of death passed through Egypt, he would know to pass over their houses, sparing the Israelites. At midnight, the angel of death took the firstborn of every Egyptian family, but he did not touch the homes marked with blood. There was great sorrow in Egypt that night. Pharaoh had no choice but to summon Moses and Aaron. "Leave my land and worship your God as you asked," he said. "Take all your belongings and go, but bless me too." So Moses led the Israelites away from their life of hardship toward freedom. They packed their belongings and left Egypt, filled with hope. They walked with their families and animals, carrying bread that hadn't even had time to rise. The night was quiet, but their hearts were loud with joy. However, soon Pharaoh's heart turned hard again. He thought, "What have we done, letting all those people go?" He called his soldiers and got his chariots ready, chasing after the Israelites to bring them back. The Israelites saw Pharaoh and his army approaching and were terrified. They felt trapped with the Red Sea in front of them and Pharaoh's army behind. They cried out to Moses in fear. Moses told them not to be afraid, saying, "Stand still, and you will see how God will save us today." Then Moses raised his staff over the sea, and something incredible happened. God made a strong wind blow, and the waters of the Red Sea split apart. The Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground, with walls of water on both sides. It was a miraculous path of escape. As they walked all night, their path was illuminated by a miraculous light. Through the clear walls of water, they saw fish of every color and size swimming, and creatures of the deep glowing with their own light, casting a beautiful glow on the path ahead. By morning, they had reached the other side, safe from Pharaoh's reach. When Pharaoh's army tried to follow them, the waters came back together, sweeping away the chariots, horses, and soldiers. Pharaoh's army couldn't hurt the Israelites anymore. After crossing the sea, the Israelites knew they were truly free. They sang and danced, praising God for their great escape. Moses and the people looked back at the sea, thankful for the miracle that led them to freedom. This incredible journey showed the Israelites that with faith in God, even the deepest waters can part, making a way where there seemed to be none. It is an amazing Bible story, isn't it? Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to learn more about Bible in a funny way. Thanks for watching. God bless you all.